Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is day 51 of the tip of the day. So today I'm going to talk about a little bit more serious topic. So I would say trigger warning. If you all think this is too sensitive, then please don't listen to the video. You're more than welcome not to listen to the video. But if you do listen to the video all the way to the end, then hopefully it gives you a tip as to this one single theme that I've been running through all these 51 episodes is that we are co-creators. We are co-creating our personal reality, and all we need to do is change our vibrational frequency to change our reality, right? If you want more abundance, you have to feel more abundant, as Dr. Joe says. If you want more freedom, then you have to experience that freedom within. If you are shackled to a job or anything of that sort. So today I wanted to talk about, let me actually read one portion from Nature of Personal Reality. This is where Seth talks about core beliefs. And he says, now let me give you a brief example of a core belief. It is a blanket belief. Human nature is inherently evil. This is a core belief. About it will spring events that only serve to reinforce it. Experiences, both personal and global, will come into the perception of a person who holds this belief that will only serve to deepen it further. From all the available physical data of newspapers, television, letters, and private communication, he or she will concentrate only upon those issues that prove that point. Suspicion of others will grow, to say nothing about the individual's personal distrust. The belief will reach into the most intimate areas of his or her life, and finally, no evidence will seem to be available to disprove it. This is a sample of an invisible core belief at its worst. A person holding it will not trust a mate, family, friends, colleagues, country, or the world in general. So just imagine how many people go through with this kind of core belief that human nature is evil. And it's not so much as that we have that belief. It is something that we actually absorb from the collective consciousness. Like, I know my mom was, like, I could already feel at home, even as a child, how much my mom thought that the world was evil and men were evil, right? That men were out to get us. That was the belief that she always expressed. And so somewhere in the background, I know that even I had that belief that there is evil out, right? You're scared when you go out into the world. You're afraid who's going to do what to you, who's going to harm you, right? So look out for that. So, you know, I see a lot of people that kind of blame if something bad happens to them, like a challenge happens to them, like maybe they got cheated by they went to the service advisor and they got cheated. What belief is operating at that point? Whether the service advisor charged you more for your car, or the grocery store charged you more for your groceries, or the bank charged you for something that you did not actually do. How many people get angry about all of those things and start blaming? But look at the underlying belief that outwardly projected that, and look at how much this belief that there is evil out in the world collectively is bringing out evil. How much is it prevailing in the collective consciousness that we have that evil out in the world as well. Excuse me, as a projection, right? So that's one thing. And then I also know I've talked about during the Facebook Live Q&A is there were times that in India, I grew up in India, and there were times that people would grope me. Even as a child, I related this incident where I was in a train and we had berths, and my mom was lying on the bottommost one. I was in the middle one, and my brother, and we were like 8 or 10 years old. So my brother was 12. And my brother was on the topmost berth. And in the middle berth, like I was very skinny, so I was just taking up a portion of the berth. And I know there was a guy who came, I can still see his image. He came, lay down beside me, and he started groping me, like touching my breast. I may have been 10, 11 years old at that time. So just look at what this belief, and I know now that I look back, now that I know this, now that I know what co-created, what co-creates personal reality, I do know at that point in time, how many ever, and these kind of incidents happened a lot in India to me. And I was like, praying, where can I be where somebody stopped groping me and touching me? And I know it happens to many women. I was not unique in there, but I'm just saying this does happen. The other corollary belief, along with the core belief that there is evil out in the world, is the fact that we have a sense of lack and incompleteness. I know I was a very shy child, and I was very timid, and I had this experience that my mom doesn't love me and my father was not around. So, you know, there's this outgoing sense of like the vibrational energy when I look at that 7-year-old me or the 5-year-old me is wanting love, right? Wanting approval. So we are sending out that signal of, okay, I want approval. I want somebody to show affection, show that I'm appreciated, recognize me, who I am, right? Because I know my mother doesn't love me, and there's nobody else. Like, my world was my mother, my brother, and myself, and my brother and I also fought like cats and dogs. So that's the vibrational energy. So combination, corollary belief of I'm looking for approval, and then I'm believing that there's evil out in the world. So what do I experience? And with that, I'll also read another thing that happens with the belief system, right? Talking about probabilities, what Seth says in chapter 15, what you must understand is this: each of the events in each of your lives was once probable. From a given field of action, then you chose those happenings that will be physically materialized. This operates in individual and mass terms. Suppose that today your home was robbed. Yesterday, the theft was one of innumerable probable events. I chose such an example because more than one person would have to be involved, the victim and the robber. Why was your home ransacked and not your neighbor's? In one way or another, through your conscious thought, you attracted such an event and drew it from your probability into actuality. The occurrence would be an accumulation of energy turned into action and be brought about by corollary beliefs. You may be convinced that human nature is evil, or that no one is safe from another's aggression, or that people are motivated mainly by greed. Such beliefs attract their own reality. If you have anything worth losing, you are then automatically convinced that someone else will take it from you or try their hardest to do so. So, like, I was talking about the touching and the groping and whatever happens to women, right? Like girls, the molestation, the rape, or the assault. If any of these happen, look at this probable event that, look at what Seth says about a robber, right? It means that one, I have to have that belief, and opposite of that, there has to be an aggressor where the same thought occurs, right? So I have a belief that I'm a 9-year-old child or 10-year-old child, that I'm believing that I'm not loved enough. I need love. I need appreciation. Which child does not seek that, right? Along with that, I also believe that the world is evil. So now that combination, it goes and hits the other person that will do evil to us. That's where the molestation happens. That's where the rape happens. That's where the touching, inappropriate touching. You know, we kind of say, why is that person inappropriately touching, right? But look at the vibrational energy of the person that's co-creating that event. Now, that may seem like very harsh, but it actually empowers us, right? That means we can be the one that just has to make an energy shift. So this truth that we co-created that reality, I got confirmation of it. I've gotten confirmation of it from like a friend. She was raped, and I asked her, what were you thinking right before the rape? Because according to Nature of Personal Reality, like there has to be some kind of belief that drew that incident, right? And she said the day before or the week before, they had been discussing about some rapists being out in the town. So, you know, you're constantly thinking of that thought. The second confirmation I had was, I think Iyanla Vanzant in her book, Yesterday I Cried. That was like an aha moment when I read Yesterday I Cried. I think at 7 or 8 years old, she was raped by her uncle who was drunk. She went into the basement for some reason, and he was drunk. And she says in the book that she was looking for love. And he, you know, the unconsciousness in the other, the only way that they know how to give love is to have that violent physical action, right? This third incident, and I would love for all of you to watch, but not watch, listen to the audio version, the Audible, on audible.com or iBooks, whatever, buy the audiobook of Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Byron Katie, in a workshop, walks a woman who has been, there's been incest, like her father probably molested her, or it may be like had a physical sexual relationship with her. And, you know, it's a very difficult audio to listen to. It's the most difficult. It's very hard. Like I listen to it like once a year or something, because the woman's pain body, like completely, you'll feel her pain body when you, it actually disturbs me for the rest of the day until I do another meditation or something. If I listen to that audio, it's that difficult an audio. So here, what I would say is, leave alone the belief. What also intertwines with the belief is there's something called archetypes. Carolyn Mays talks about archetypes a lot, and she talks about this nymphomaniac archetype and the prostitute archetype, right? So in that audio, and if you'll get the book, read the book, and but the audio is better because you hear Byron Katie's voice, right? So Byron Katie talks to this woman, and she says, do you see the powerlessness in his eyes? And I'll go back, you know, it's a very meditative state, you cannot, like your ego right now, if you are getting angry about what I'm saying, then that means the ego has taken over. You cannot come to this conclusion without, or you cannot listen to this unless the ego is not there. You have to be in that meditative state, extremely still, listen to, and then go back to that one moment when that incident happened, right? So what Byron Katie says, so now that you're in that state, do you see the powerlessness in his eyes, right? Do you see that he was looking for power, or he was looking for, that's the only thing he could do, right? Do you see the suffering in his eyes? And she starts crying, the girl, the woman starts crying about it. And she says, yes, I can see that. And the second thing Byron Katie says is, so this girl was probably showered with gifts whenever this incident happened. She was given a lot of presents, like taken on her birthday and given a lot of presents, maybe came out of poor family. So Byron Katie says, do you see that you liked it? That implying that she liked receiving all that attention. So that's my tip for today, is the more we can understand that it is our vibrational energy that is causing our and co-creating our reality, and get into that meditative state. And that is the practice of the work by Byron Katie. The more we can get into the meditative state and see what is it that co-created that reality, right? What are our core beliefs? What are the probabilities that existed, and how did we draw this into our past, present moment? So that's my tip for today. I'm hoping it's been a longer video, but there was a lot to explain. And I'll say something about archetypes next week, maybe a shorter video. The next time I create a video, it'll be very short. Sorry about this long video, but I had to explain. It is extremely freeing. Like, it was freedom for me when I understood that, okay, I did co-create that, those kind of incidents. I do realize that at 8, at 7, I was an unloved child, which most of us are. And then what does that draw, right? What are the experiences that draws? And now that we have this presence power, we are the positive side, right? After all those experiences, look where we are. We are where we have this high degree of presence. We, we actually are experiencing that love, the love that we were seeking. We are becoming a vessel of that unconditional love, right? That love is flowing through us constantly, like consciousness is flowing through us constantly. So I love the fact that we had those experiences that led to this spiritual practice. And I am so grateful to Eckhart Tolle, and eventually now Dr. Joe Dispenza, that his meditations help a lot. I'm learning more from Carolyn Mace and Dr. Norm Shealy. So that's the journey, right? So keep on going, keep on transforming. Have a spectacular weekend, everyone. Eternally grateful for the love and support. Many blessings. Thank you. Bye.